Medical assist, 11 motor vehicle accidents, 1 lockout of a residence, 5 public service, 1 unauthorized and 1 authorized controlled burning, and 9 false alarms. Year to date, we've had 150 calls. That's 27 ahead of last year at this time. We're averaging 4 persons per call with an average, average response time of 10 minutes. Thank you.
Code enforcement.
Good afternoon. This past month, since last supervisors meeting, we had, when the report was written a couple days ago, 12 total new complaints that we investigated. Excuse me, we had 2 of note. One about chickens on Thorn Street and burning on Ramsey. I know we've had a couple complaints about burning on Ramsey. We're kind of back to the same place where we were at Greenhill. When we get there, there's nothing there. But we have continued. When we were out in the area, we stopped by and looked. A couple of other items of note. We have 2, possibly 3 things next month we may ask the supervisors to take motion on. One being 1059 South Main Street for Mr. Gregg who passed away. The house appears to be vacant. Grass is growing up again. We're going to post the property. It still shows under Mr. Gregg's ownership on the county tax site. So we don't know if there's an exit can, if it's going to an estate, what's going to happen with it. So we're going to post the property this week that needs to be cut. If it doesn't happen, we're going to ask you to have the township take motion. We have 575 Maplery. We know what's going on there. The lady that owned it moved to New York, has left it abandoned. We're going to post it one more time just to make sure we're covered, and then we'll bring that to you next month. And then 2920 West Chestnut is owned by an individual who's in an elder care facility. The elder care facility is the responsible party in the tax map. We sent certified notification to them. There's a pool in the backyard. It's got stagnant water in it. It's going to be a hotbed for mosquitoes. Again, we're going to post the property. We've got no response. They have received their certified letter. With this, to file a citation against the company, we can try that. We're going to be 30 to 45 days until it goes out. We'll be at the end of the summer by the time we can take motion. So we're going to post it, probably request to take motion on that next month.
Did you do drain that pool?
Yeah. That's what we posted.
We did that before, didn't we?
Not there. We did it over in Iola.
Iola.
Yep. That was about last summer, the summer before.
Yeah.
We have currently 6 items with citations open that are either continued or we're going to court in the next month. One that was on this report as pending was today for 63 Cleveland Road, over before Magistrate Redlinger, and the property owner was fined $500 for each citation, one for a zoning infraction for a fence that is incorrect, and one for dumping on his property that he didn't have a permit for. So he did say that he will be appealing those. We'll be in touch with Mr. Sweat's office if that happens, but he was found guilty on both counts. Any questions for me? Oh, one other thing. I'm sorry. The Washington Motor Lodge. I spoke with Manager Warder late last week. I did get in touch with Attorney DeSalle. He represents the owners of the Motor Lodge. They are interested in working with the township and getting it taken down. I talked to Kerry Fox at the Redevelopment Authority. He said that CDGB funds may be available if the township's interested in possibly splitting the cost or working with them to get it over. So we're at the beginning phase. I left a phone call and a voicemail for him. Voicemail and email for him, and he emailed me back just now while we were sitting here. So I haven't spoken with him, but he did confirm he'd be interested in working with the township to get the building down. That's it.
Real quick. Yes.
I know the Gregg property out on
Yep.
South Main Street. I know the next of kin personally.
Oh, okay.
So if you have any trouble contacting them, just go.
Okay, very good. Great. Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Sweat, Solicitor's Report.
Joint zoning project, I think we're nearing the end. According to Michael, who's been working with Carolyn Yeagle, the ordinance has been typed and is now in Word form, so we are close to being able to load it onto the township website for the public to review. I think the only holdup right now is Carolyn is waiting for final review and approval from the county concerning the airport. That portion that's in North Franklin Township. Once that's received, we can then schedule the hearing on the joint zoning project, the zoning ordinance, and the zoning map amendments. We've also been in touch with Mark West concerning their bond and also damages to Maplery Road. They were going to send that to their engineering department, and they are going to be looking at it and are going to get back to us with some kind of proposal. So that looks positive.
Good.
It's my understanding, too, that the authority has identified what portion of the creek sits in authority property, and they're making arrangements to have
It's
the
already
trees
done.
removed. It's done.
Trevor did it.
Yeah, they-
Good. And then the other part of it is the American.
We still don't
So
have
we still have to work with
there.
them. And then we do need to have an executive session on personnel and litigation.
Over to Mr. Basley, do you have any roadmaster report, anything?
No.
Nothing? Mr. Sapp?
Just a couple quick things. Sylvia probably should have just touched on the fact that we did finally finish that Ridgewood project, thank God. And it was, took a lot of time. The weather did not cooperate, and we finally got it done. We have an emergency situation on my street, which Silvio is making sure is getting done tomorrow. And they've been working hard out on McElry, trying to get that, and he has a situation out on Hazel.
Hazel Drive.
Hazley, that's it. Hazley Drive. Yeah. Hazley Drive. And I don't know, Ron, if you wanted to mention, you guys went to that flood meeting. Maybe you want to say something.
I could have Sarah maybe mention anything that you want to go through. It was very informative, the flood meeting that we had. There is monies available. I know maybe you could talk about, Sarah, a little bit as far as some of the houses that are in the floodplain. They could possibly, if they apply for money through Jeff Yates, I think that's how it goes through. And they'll buy out and so on. These are some of the things that they've discussed, but they're definitely sticking to the Chartiers Creek and, that area and dealing with that. We will be having very soon, probably the Corps engineers coming in to start at South Franklin and then do their way through North Franklin. And I know Sarah Boyce she'll be involved with that deal as far as some of the areas that are really bad. So there is movement. I think Mr. Ron Schober, he's sort of spearheading this all. He's doing a heck of a job, because I know a lot of people are saying about their areas and that, but they're focusing on Chartiers, and that's the extent of it. So the meeting went real well. I don't know if you had anything else to add, Sarah?
It was a more concentrated meeting this time around, in that it was more by invite. People that came to the first meeting that really showed interest were invited for the second one. It was trying to understand people's involvement level and where they want to go. It was more of a summary of, okay, that we have received certain information, can more people send information, so they're still trying to compile that information for the Corps. Some people asked some specific questions about local involvement and what people can do now to not have to wait for the watershed portion within their own communities. So one of the things that was discussed is implementing items that were in each individual's community, stormwater ordinances and their floodplain ordinances, and going back as municipalities and reviewing those and making sure that those are in place the way that they should be. Right. And then it sounds like moving forward, the DEP did come down, they did walk the creek in certain areas.
Yeah, they walked the creek,
Not the whole creek, but areas of concern. And then they were gonna take it back. We now have a municipal contact through the DEP specifically designated for the Chartiers County communities. So that if somebody were to call us, being the municipalities, we're allowed now to call him directly, and he will get us in touch with the correct department that oversees that. Because the DEP is such a compartmentalized thing, it's hard sometimes to just contact the correct person. So that's the next step, I think. Yeah.
Brian Schimmel is the guy, he's the local liaison officer with DEP, and anytime we've called him on some issues on Studio 7, but we have the areas mapped out already. Sarah did a narrative on our area as far as the troubled areas. So the Corps engineers, they're going to be hitting us first, I think, the way they talked. So it looks like that hopefully get some of this stuff resolved in some respects, but it's really the coordination is the big problem, and getting it together. And so it's...
Ron, I have a question for you, for Sarah.
Sarah.
Did they say anything about whether or not North Franklin was eligible for any of the Sunoco fine money? Did that come up at all at that meeting?
I didn't
No.
know about that program.
All right, I can shed a little bit of light on it, because I think this is where the governor is moving.
Okay.
He has taken the fine that was imposed on Sunoco for what they did. And the fine is $12 million. And they've created a special stormwater fund for that $12 million. Now, I think that the application starts next week and it's open for 45 days. The way the application or the announcement came down is that those municipalities that were impacted by the Sunoco pipeline were the ones that were eligible to apply for grant money.
Was that mitigation?
And the 4 townships that they've named in Washington County, I represent 2 of them, Union, North Strabane, and then they named Chartiers and Nottingham. Now, the other thing that I think that they're going to do is, I think they're going to put the fine money where they across the state where they fine Range and EQT and Sunoco and because I think Mark West just got fined $610,000 for some leaks. They're going to continue to put, I think, those fine monies into this stormwater remediation fund. So there's going to be a decent source of money that's going to, I think, be created. Now, what we're doing, and this is a brainchild of North Strabane and Union, they've all agreed to form a stormwater municipal authority. And it's going to be comprised of those 4 townships. So they've gotten together, and we know from experience that anytime there is a joint effort, you're in a much better position to get grant money at the state level. I mean, we've seen that with the Recreation Authority and with LSA, which is available every year. So I think this is going to be the first stormwater joint authority even in the state. And we're going to form that within the next probably 2 months. It will be comprised of Union, North Strabane, Chartiers, and Nottingham. And they're discussing whether or not they would include the county. I mean, I think the county would be a big player, but that's yet to be determined. In fact, I think the Observer did an article on this Sunday. It was on the front page. That's what it was referring to. So as you get into your more planning and analysis, you might look at, does South Franklin have problems?
Oh, yeah.
We know the city of Washington has problems. You might have the makings of a joint stormwater authority with those 4 municipalities that I think would be at the top of the list when you apply for grants, especially with this new fine money that's coming in. And they just announced, it was a big announcement, $12 million, they're going to apply it to stormwater remediation. $12 million.
Yeah.
So that's what's
How do
happening.
we contact? How do you get started? Yes, I'm saying, who do you
Well,
contact?
Rich Cleveland is doing the application for those 4 townships. And I'm not sure of how this was announced, but they designated the townships that were eligible to apply to that money. And since it was Sunoco money, it was townships where the pipeline has gone through. And so they tied it to that. But, you know, we've got other activities in and around our township with Range, with Mark West, with CNX down the road. So who knows? If they're fined, it may come back to these municipalities.
Sarah?
What Beer is talking about, if we could get to that point politically down the road, it would be fantastic, because what can happen is instead of having all these MS4
That's what I'm
permits for each
saying,
community, you can merge them into one joint application, which they're actually pushing for. The next thing with those is then you can take credits, like if they do work in Canton, but you guys have a joint application, you would get the credit for that too. So it's a great opportunity, and as you said, it's in its infancy. It's happening more and more, but as the MS4 program becomes more stringent and more enforced, it's becoming a huge thing. And financing for the grants, both applying to grants, pooling money, doing those projects, I think it would be absolutely fantastic to do that.
And see, the other thing you can do is develop a joint stormwater ordinance for, let's say, the participating communities, because your stormwater doesn't just stop at the boundary line.
That's the thing.
And there could be something happening in Canton that's affecting us. Well, a joint stormwater ordinance for those 4 would be very beneficial. The other thing that this group is going to be looking at One of the only remediation plans may be for a municipality to start building retention ponds. Because part of the problem is a lot of the older developments do not have adequate retention ponds. And they've accumulated silt, they weren't designed correctly, the designs have changed over the years. More development, more asphalt creates more water runoff. One of the things a joint stormwater authority might be able to do is begin to acquire property. And through utilization of grants and maybe some participation by the private sector, like developers, build stormwater plans. Now, you're going to be in the stormwater business, but I think you're always going to be in that as the decades go. What you're seeing around here, that's just something. It's going to be as crucial and critical as your roads. But retention ponds, strategically placed, could be part of the solution. But that's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, you have the microphone here. Do you have an update on the flooding situation on West Chestnut?
I don't.
They were supposed to.
From Marathon. He called me, and Robinson Pike was supposed to go blow that out on Monday. And he called me, I was going to go down. And he said they retained it for some reason or other. And he told me he'd get back to me.
That's where it's at.
All right.
You say blow it out?
Yeah.
Pressure. So they found the blockage.
You know what they was talking about? I don't understand. They want to blow it out from the creek back. And that would just stuff some other pipes up. But it's not determined yet. They haven't even showed up.
All right, for those of you who've wondered, and some of you have asked, in fact, the recycling bins have been moved to the Park Avenue. Okay, so please pass the word on that. I'm going to be putting that in the newsletter, but in the meantime, we wanted to open up parking here. So we moved the recycling bins off Franklin Farms Road. The ones for the cans are still down at the Sylvan Drive for the fire company, but the other ones are right off our Park Avenue at our maintenance shed. So all you have to do is drive in, put them in, and come right back out. It's very easy. And also, we supplied our neighbor next door here with some gravel so that we could use his lot as well, and that made him happy. The newsletter, this is the final call on that. I have to have anything that anyone is going to put in by Friday. So I've received nothing from the fire company, and I've received nothing from some other, so I got plenty of stuff, but it's just, if you want stuff in there, you got to get it to me. I do have some stuff from Mrs. E, no surprise. And, but at any rate, that's where we stand. My final comment is simply that, I don't like going to other boards to comment. I was elected as supervisor here to comment, and that's where I'm going to make my comment. I'm an elected official of this township, and I don't want to mess up other people's meetings. I do a good enough job doing that in my own meetings. So my comments will be kept to the Board of Supervisors meetings, where they should be. Thank you.
Do you have any public comments on non-agenda items? Please come up forward, state your name, address. Say my name. Yes, sir.
Kowski, 60 Millback Drive. As you're going up Old Pike Road and you're making a left, there's a house there. I don't know whether it's abandoned or not, but there's all kind of, they cut down the sumac tree. And if you know that that's a very flammable, combustible little tree, okay? Those kids are going to put that on fire. If you go down there, all the trash is back there, I don't know, some guy mows it, but
That's
that's
6
about it.
Millback.
I think it's no.
5 Millback, sorry. We have
It's
one.
five.
You sent them, they sent them.
They sent them? Okay. Number 2 is, as you're coming down in front of my house on 60, we have new people across the street. They got kids. Everybody speeds on that corner. Now, out by Bob's, there's a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. I think we should put a sign there, children to play 25 miles an hour, and maybe you guys want to set over there, you can play pickleball there. I'm telling you.
Lots of luck.
No, we're not doing that again. Hey, let me just say this though, on that street, when Trevor was out there this morning, and he's lining the road for cutting it tomorrow, somebody who I did not know came flying through there at some unbelievable speed, but Mr. Taylor, who's lived on that street forever, said, you know, when you put the asphalt back in, you should put a speed bump. And I've told I felt all along the township police, I told them that we got to slow the traffic down on a lot of the streets in the township. And
Speed bump's better than a sign.
yeah, but the problem is that a lot of people, the reason I was told by the police that we can't do speed bumps are, A, it causes a problem for the fire company in cases of emergency, and second of all, it causes a problem for police in high-speed situations. So that's the reason. However, that said, I really think there should be some trial places in a township where we need to slow the traffic down.
They had them on William Street years ago, they were forced to remove them, so I don't know if they were put there illegally or.
You got to get them legally approved.
But East Washington is filling up with them, so.
They could give us all theirs and we would have enough.
Yeah, but a sign would help there.
That's all.
All right, do we have anyone else? Yes. State your name.
Heather Glasser, Green Hill Drive. I was just wondering if it would be possible for us to get a township manager report along with everyone else's. I don't see why we wouldn't. I mean, we get the fire department, police department. So.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, that's a great question. Is the finance
Yeah.
available?
Yeah, they're right.
Available, like that.
Come up here, Mr. Turner.
I'm sorry.
We gotta make you break, Dan.
I was just wondering, that's a great question. My
State your name.
Name and address.
Gary, 721 Cleveland Road. Is the financials available for the other departments, the police department, the maintenance, that's all available for public?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public knowledge. Real quick, I know this is a meaningless, but the tickets for Kennywood, you're going to purchase them first and have them here? Is that? So just hypothetically, if you didn't sell, if you only sold 100, then we would eat 200,
No.
is that?
No, we
Okay.
get back.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah,
And just
you
real
get
quick,
your packet.
just to have an idea, just to comment on that, that 501c nonprofit, not-for-profit, that's not an arbitrary number. That number was well thought out because anything over, on a 501c, anything over $5,000, then the tax people get a knock on the door. So that number wasn't just handpicked.
It's based on the IRS code.
Exactly. Or because at that point, you'd have to get an EIN and blah, blah, blah. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Okay, anyone else? We have a motion to adjourn. We gotta go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to recess.
To recess. Silvio seconds. I second the motion to recess. Meeting's over. Thank you.